is the new Insta360 X3, which is the fourth and latest version of the world's best-selling 360 action camera. We've got some powerful new specs here. So we get 360-degree capture, the best hardware that I think Insta360 have designed yet, as well as AI-powered software, which we're going to get into in this video. This is the ultimate pocket camera. So this camera is not only extremely versatile, this is also one of the easiest pocket cameras that I've ever used. And so that's something that I want to underscore as we go through this video, because that is a big thing for me, is ease of use. So first of all, you want your camera to be really small. You want it to have a very clean UI. This has both those things. So it's very easy to use. You just pull it out and shoot when you are ready. The second part of this equation, and this is something that is consistent with a lot of action cameras, is what do you do with this footage once you have it on here? So do you bring it home and try to edit it later? You want to share it on social media. It's not really in the moment, and that keeps it from just being the ultimate camera in that situation. So one of the things that I love that Insta360 have done with this camera is they've solved that second part of the equation with some really incredible software you can run right on your phone that has a lot of built-in AI for just putting together quick edits based on the styles of things that you want to shoot in here. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's back up just a second and let's check out the new Insta360 X3. If we look at the design on this camera, first thing you're going to notice is we have two lenses, one on each side. That's because this is a 360 camera, so you can shoot in 360, and the whole idea is that you just shoot what's in the moment and you're going to pick apart your edit later. You can also use this just with a single lens as an action camera, and there's actually several configurations that we'll get into in a second. The camera is super simple in its layout. On one side of the camera you have your power button, and under that you have your quick button, so if you just want to fire it up and shoot. On the other side of the camera you're going to find the battery, which is super easy to get in and out. We also have the USB-C jack, which is under this little door here, and this is a redesign from the previous generation. It's also worth noting that you can just take this door off, put it in your pocket and not lose it, and you can also reattach it, and it keeps everything waterproof up to 33 feet, which is pretty awesome. On the front of the camera, you're going to notice that we have a way bigger touchscreen than we had on previous models. This is a new 2.29-inch touchscreen, features tempered glass. Underneath the touchscreen, there are two physical buttons. One of them is the record button. The other button is a lens switching function, so if you're in a single lens mode, it makes it really easy to use the front or rear lens. When you power the camera on, you're also going to notice that this is haptic enabled. So in other words, it has a small buzz to it, which is really nice because when you're starting, stopping recordings, powering on or off the unit, it gives you a physical response. That's something that we had on previous models. It's here again, and it's something that I really like. It makes it a really nice user experience. Most of the navigation that you're going to do is going to be from within the actual touchscreen. So if I want to change between my modes, I can just tap on the camera down here. We can go between photo, video modes, loop recording. You can also switch from single lens into 360 mode from here. Everything else in here is really intuitive as well. So if I want to go in here and change my resolution or any of the other settings, it's all really easy to do from the front. If you swipe down from the top, you're going to get a list of common settings. It works much like a phone device would. When I swipe to the right, you're going to be able to switch between auto and manual modes and get more granular control than you get just when the camera's just set up to do whatever. And if I go back and I swipe to the left, you're going to get all of your clips. And so if you want to review footage or watch something that you just shot, this is how you would get to that. So it's super easy to use, and the specs have gotten quite an upgrade from the last version of this camera as well. We have an upgraded Type 1/2 or half-inch sensor. This will let you capture up to 5.7K 360 video using active HDR. You can get 72 megapixel 360 still photos. We have a new Me mode, which I will explain in a second, which is really nice. It uses both lenses. Of course, like previous models, we also have the invisible selfie stick for third-person views. In other words, once this is set up, you will not see the stick in the image. You can do up to an 8K time lapse. It features flow state stabilization plus 360-degree horizon lock. This is really nice if you're doing POV shots and you want the horizon just to stay steady the whole time. I mentioned earlier, it's waterproof up to 33 feet. So what is new inside the Insta360 X3? So this is a dual lens camera, and it is set up for recording in the 360-degree space, and this is something that you'll manipulate and post later. One of the new modes that I like a lot that increases the versatility of this is now we have a 4K single lens mode. So this allows you to use this more like you would a traditional action camera. So it's going to use one of the lenses. You can select between them with the button on the front, and basically what you're going to do is you're just going to be shooting from that one lens. This is excellent if you just want POV footage of something. It turns this into more of a traditional action camera. Another cool new mode in here is something that Insta360 are calling Me mode, and this is essentially for vlogging. Now, what it does is it corrects corrects the problem. Normally when you're shooting with an action camera, you're holding it up with your arm is in the picture. Well, now we can get this out, and it makes it look a little more natural, like a third person is filming. And the way this works is you're going to use a tripod, screw this into the bottom, and there's an accessory that's just a short tripod like this. So what I'm going to do is just hold this out like this in front of me. And what it does, first of all, it gets rid of the stick. You'll see your hand, but you won't see the stick in play. And what it does is it actually uses both cameras, and it kind of uses just the front portion of both cameras. And so this is very useful, and it turns it into an excellent camera for a vlogging application. We've got some cool new photo modes as well. So first off, we have a 72 megapixel 360 degree photo mode, which gives us a much higher resolution than we've had in the past. We also have 360 degree active HDR. Now let me explain what this means. So when we have active HDR, basically it's a way of dealing with a very high dynamic range. That's what that stands for. So if you have bright highlights and really dark shadows, it has a really natural way of evening out everything in the scene. So it evens it out and it makes it look really good. It makes it so you don't have to do those things in post-production later. Insta360 has an excellent algorithm in how it handles this, and it really gives your scene a more natural feel to it. We also have the ability to do 360 degree time lapses in 8K resolution. This is important because when you're capturing a 360 degree image, and presumably you'll probably want to do some panning around and stuff with it later, well, you need a lot of resolution to make that look really good. And we can get up to 8K in time lapse mode here. And we also have bullet time up to 4K, 120 frames a second. This is the effect that you saw in the movie The Matrix. If this is something you want to do, basically you put it into bullet time mode. There are two accessories that you can get to use this with. The first one is just this cable release. So the way this works is I just kind of screw this into the bottom, kind of like a tripod, but it's on a string. And so basically this just retracts and the weight of it will hold. So essentially you hit record and then you swing this around over your head, and it's going to capture a really interesting look that gives that effect. Of course, it's using a very high frame rate. It's going to have the ability to slow it down later, and you get some really cool effects. There is another accessory for this as well if you prefer, and this is really cool. So it folds out like a tripod if you want to set it on something, but then when you're ready to film, you pick it up and it's got a spinning head on the top. What you're going to do is attach this to the attachment arm here, get that screwed in. Again, outdoor activity, but you're going to swing it like so. And same principle, a new way to film bullet time. Oh, and I can't forget my favorite accessory. So this is kind of one of my favorite things ever. So this is essentially a monopod, and it's going to solve the issue of not being able to use a drone sometimes. And so everybody's had this problem. If you own a drone, you take it on vacation, you're in an area where you're legally not allowed to fly it. There's too many people around. And so you've dragged your drone across the country, and well, there you are, and you're not even able to use it. So one of the things you can do is you can get this monopod, which is this super extension here. It's marked off on centimeters on the side. So we can extend it quite a bit here, and quite a bit more. Kind of feel like I'm going fishing now. All right, again, outside use, highly recommended for something like this, but look, I can put this into the next room and like turn off the light and stuff. This allows you to get the 360 camera very high up in the air. It essentially gives you the ability to treat this sort of like a 360 drone. Or I guess you could throw this into me mode, and you've got probably the longest selfie stick in the history of video making. And the best part is it is so compact when you break it all the way down. I mean, that's it when it's fully retracted there. So very good size for just throwing in a backpack or a bag or whatever you're carrying with you. All right, so let's talk about that problem that you have when you've shot all this great footage and then you want to do something with it kind of in the moment and share it on social media, whatever it is you want to do. You want to be able to get a quick edit. This is where this is very well thought out. So first of all, this is really easy to pair with your smartphone, and you can use the Insta360 app to transfer your files via Wi-Fi. Now, I've got to be honest with you, when you actually have a lot of footage on here, sometimes that can take a while to transfer files. Well, Insta360 have you covered. There's yet another accessory, which is actually kind of one of my favorite things ever, which is this remote card reader. All right, so we have a USB-C connection on the side. This will go into a phone, or it will go into the Insta360 unit, which I'll show you in a second. And then under this lid on the top here, we have a lightning connection. And we also have this little slot here for a micro SD card. So a couple different possibilities of how you can set this up. So the USB connection is under this. I'll just take off the hood, and then you can slide this right in. And when you power this up, it is going to recognize that you have essentially an external drive hooked up to the camera. It's very cool. The other thing that I love about this is that even if you just use the card internally, take the card out, it's underneath the battery, and then what you can do is put the card into here, plug this straight into your phone, and you just transfer your footage. And it is much faster than trying to do it wirelessly. This is an awesome addition to this system, and it makes it to where I can really use this if I've got a lot of footage on here. So that is the first part, is moving the footage over to your phone or your device. All right, so the second part of this is I've got all this awesome footage that I took with the Insta360 X3. How do I quickly edit and do something with this to where I can share it on social media? And so what I've done is I've opened the Insta360 app. I brought some footage in. If you go under album, you can tap to select any clip, and you can begin to edit using the keyframe editor. So this is super easy to use. Basically, you just tap on the screen to start or stop. I can pinch, I can zoom. And then if you want to start manually creating edits, you can use the keyframe editor. So basically, you want to have a position that you're starting from and then one you're going to. So you start at the first position, you tap the little plus sign, move to the second position, tap another plus sign, and then do your movements. And Insta360 on the back end will figure out all the math between A and B, and it will zoom and pan and do all of its stuff to get it there. So that's a good way to do it. It can start to get very complex if you're doing a long edit. And this is where something really cool called ShotLab comes into play. So if I click on the Stories tab at the bottom of the screen, it's going to load in all these ShotLab examples. And so basically what these are AI templates that are going to allow you to very quickly edit and manipulate footage. And this is where it really becomes easy. And you can create what's called a story here, and then we can export that. So if I just grab some footage and put it on here, ShotLab sets it up, and it takes all of the hard work out of a complex edit. And what I love about this is there are enough variations in ShotLab where you're probably going to find something that works for you in the moment, and you're going to be able to very quickly do an edit and then export this in a story format, and then you can share it on whatever social media you want. Anyway, seriously, this is a really awesome addition to the Insta360 camera lineup. It's my favorite camera so far, and like I said, it's because of the ease of use, not only in terms of capturing content, but also in terms of actually editing content, and just the way you can get it to your phone super fast now is just awesome for me. And you know, it's interesting, as somebody who creates a lot of content for the internet, I'm doing it all the time, there are a lot of tools that we all have at our disposal as content creators. And I've always said it's the right tool for the right job, but every now and then something comes along like this that is more of a Swiss Army knife, and it has an enormous amount of versatility and depth to the range of what it can do. So this, my friends, is the Insta360 X3. Go check it out. I will put a link in the show description below. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, later.